the only creatine side effect you need to worry about. What if I told you that most of the scary things you've heard about creatine are probably not the side effect you should be worrying about? For years, people have blamed creatine for everything from kidney damage to hair loss to dehydration. But when researchers looked closer, many of those fears turned out to be exaggerated, misunderstood, or simply unsupported by the evidence. So, does that mean creatine has no side effects at all? Not exactly. The truth is that there is one side effect that causes more problems than almost anything else, and it's probably not the one you're thinking of. Today, we're breaking down the only creatine side effect you really need to pay attention to, along with 7 warning signs that tell you whether you're using creatine the right way or the wrong way. And trust me, number 8 ties everything together. But before we begin, drop your name and the city you're watching from in the comments below. Alright, let's get started. Number 1. Most people worry about the wrong things. Have you ever noticed how almost every supplement seems to come with a long list of scary rumors? One person says it's amazing, another says it's dangerous. Before you know it, it becomes almost impossible to tell what's true and what's just internet noise. Creatine is a perfect example. Many people spend hours reading frightening stories about kidney damage, severe muscle cramps, dehydration, or other alarming side effects they found online. The more they search, the more worried they become. Meanwhile, they often overlook the factors that actually have the biggest impact on how their body responds to creatine. Things like proper hydration, realistic dosing, exercise habits, nutrition, and overall health. The unfortunate reality is that fear spreads much faster than facts. A dramatic story gets shared thousands of times because it grabs attention. A balanced explanation usually doesn't. As a result, myths can take on a life of their own, even when they don't reflect what most healthy people actually experience. And because creatine has been around for decades, many of these old rumors continue getting repeated over and over again. One person hears it from a friend, who heard it from someone online, who heard it years ago from another source. Eventually, the myth starts sounding like a proven fact, simply because it's been repeated so many times. That's why it's important to separate fear from reality. Instead of focusing on rumors, focus on understanding how creatine actually works, how to use it responsibly, and what factors truly influence results. Because when it comes to supplements, knowledge is usually far more helpful than fear. And honestly, understanding the facts can save people from worrying about problems that may never have been problems in the first place. Number 2. Weight gain often causes unnecessary panic. Here's something that surprises a lot of first-time creatine users. The scale may go up, sometimes it happens within just a few days. And honestly, that's usually the moment people start to panic. They step on the scale, see a higher number than expected, and immediately assume they're gaining body fat. Some even wonder if the supplement is working against their goals. But in many cases, that's not what's happening at all. One of creatine's main jobs is helping pull water into your muscle cells. As your muscles store more water, your overall body weight can increase slightly, even if your diet hasn't changed and your body fat remains exactly the same. In fact, this extra water inside the muscles is one reason many people notice their muscles looking fuller or feeling firmer shortly after starting creatine. It's part of the normal process, not necessarily a sign that something has gone wrong. The real problem isn't the weight gain itself. The real problem is misunderstanding what that weight actually represents. Many people see a larger number on the scale and immediately assume it reflects fat gain. But body weight is made up of many things, including muscle, water, food, and other factors. Not just body fat. That's why focusing only on the scale can sometimes create unnecessary frustration. Understanding the difference between water weight and fat gain can completely change how you view those early changes. Instead of worrying that you're moving backward, you can recognize that your body is simply responding to the way creatine works. Sometimes the number on the scale tells only part of the story. And when it comes to creatine, understanding that story can make all the difference. Number 3. Digestive problems usually come from one mistake. Have you ever heard someone say, "I tried creatine, but it upset my stomach"? It's a pretty common complaint, and while it can happen, the story is often more complicated than people think. In many cases, the real problem isn't creatine itself, it's how much creatine they took. A lot of people are eager to see results as quickly as possible. They read about loading phases online, hear someone recommend massive doses, and decide that if a little is good, a lot must be better. Unfortunately, that's usually where the trouble begins. Suddenly, they're dealing with bloating, stomach cramps, nausea, digestive discomfort, or loose stools. After a few unpleasant experiences, they come to a simple conclusion. Creatine doesn't work for me, but honestly, that conclusion isn't always accurate. Very often, their digestive system was simply overwhelmed by taking too much at once. The body may tolerate creatine perfectly well when it's taken in smaller, more manageable amounts. That's why many experienced users take a much simpler approach. Instead of trying to rush the process, they focus on consistency. A moderate daily dose is often easier on the stomach and still allows creatine levels in the muscles to build up over time. The funny thing is that many people abandon creatine because of side effects they may have accidentally created themselves by trying to speed things up. It's a good reminder that more isn't always better. When it comes to supplements, patience often beats overload. Sometimes the difference between a bad experience and a great one isn't the supplement itself, it's simply giving your body an amount it can comfortably handle. Number 4. Hydration starts becoming more important. Now we're getting closer to the side effect that actually matters, and honestly, it's one that many people completely overlook. Creatine doesn't just affect your muscles, it also changes how water is distributed throughout your body. One of its main jobs is helping muscles hold more water, which can support performance, recovery, and overall muscle function. But there's a catch. Because your muscles are holding onto more water, your body may need more fluids than it did before. And that's where some people run into trouble. They start taking creatine, but continue drinking the exact same amount of water they've always consumed. A few days or weeks later, they begin feeling sluggish, tired, low on energy, or generally uncomfortable. Some experience headaches, dry mouth, or muscle cramps, and immediately assume creatine is the problem. In reality, their body may simply be asking for more hydration. And this becomes even more important as we get older. One of the challenges of aging is that the body's natural thirst signals often become less reliable. In other words, you may need water even when you don't actually feel thirsty. That's why many adults unknowingly walk around mildly dehydrated for long periods of time. Add creatine into the mix, and those hydration issues can become much more noticeable. The good news is that this is usually one of the easiest problems to address. Paying closer attention to fluid intake throughout the day can often help people feel significantly better and avoid many of the symptoms they mistakenly blame on creatine. So if there's one side effect worth paying attention to, it may not be the supplement itself. It's whether your hydration habits are keeping up with what your body now needs. Sometimes, a simple glass of water can make a bigger difference than people expect. Number 5. Fatigue can sometimes be misleading. Here's something many people don't expect when they start taking creatine. When hydration begins to fall behind, the signs aren't always obvious. In fact, they can show up in ways that seem completely unrelated to water intake. You might feel more tired than usual. You may notice a little mental fog during the day. Your workouts may feel harder. Your energy may seem lower, and your recovery might not feel as smooth as you expected. And because these changes often appear after starting creatine, many people immediately assume the supplement is causing the problem. But honestly, that's not always the case. In many situations, the real issue is that the body's demand for fluids has increased, while hydration habits haven't changed to match it. Remember, creatine helps muscles store more water. That's part of how it supports performance and recovery. But if you don't increase your fluid intake, your body may struggle to keep up with those new demands. The tricky part is that dehydration doesn't always announce itself loudly. It doesn't always start with extreme thirst. Sometimes it shows up as fatigue, poor concentration, low motivation, headaches, or a noticeable drop in workout performance. That's why hydration is such an important piece of the puzzle. Before assuming creatine isn't working, or worse, that it's causing problems, it's worth taking a closer look at how much water you're actually drinking throughout the day. Because in many cases, the supplement isn't the problem at all. It's simply revealing a hydration issue that was already there, or creating a need for more fluids than your body was used to. Sometimes the solution isn't stopping creatine, it's something much simpler, giving your body the water it needs to perform at its best. Number 6. Headaches are often a warning signal. Have you ever started taking a supplement and then suddenly found yourself dealing with headaches? If so, you're not alone. It's something some creatine users report, and it can be concerning when it happens shortly after starting a new routine. The first reaction is often to blame the supplement itself. After all, the headaches appeared after starting creatine, so the connection seems obvious. But honestly, the real explanation is often a little more complicated. In many cases, dehydration is the missing piece of the puzzle. Remember, creatine helps muscles hold on to more water. That's one of the reasons it can support performance, recovery, and muscle function. But if your fluid intake doesn't increase to match your body's new demands, you may start feeling the effects of inadequate hydration. And one of the earliest warning signs can be headaches. Your body has a way of letting you know when something is out of balance. Sometimes it shows up as fatigue, sometimes it's low energy or poor concentration, and sometimes it's a persistent headache that seems to appear for no obvious reason. That doesn't mean creatine automatically causes headaches. In fact, for many people, creatine itself isn't the problem at all. Instead, it may be your body's way of saying, I need more fluids than I'm getting right now. That's why paying attention to hydration becomes so important when using creatine. Something as simple as drinking water more consistently throughout the day can often make a noticeable difference in how you feel. So, if headaches show up after starting creatine, it's worth looking at your hydration habits before assuming the supplement is to blame. Sometimes the issue isn't what you're taking, it's what your body may be missing. Number 7. The side effect. Nobody connects to creatine. Now here's the really interesting part, and honestly, it's something many people never even consider. A lot of people experience dehydration-related symptoms after starting creatine, but they never connect those symptoms to their hydration habits. They notice they're feeling more tired than usual, they develop occasional headaches, their workouts don't feel as good as they expected, they feel sluggish, mentally foggy, or just a little off, but they can't quite figure out why. Since all of these changes happen after they start taking creatine, they naturally assume the supplement is the problem. So what do? They stop taking it. The surprising thing is that the real issue may never have been creatine in the first place. What many people don't realize is that creatine can increase the body's need for fluids by helping muscles store more water. If hydration doesn't keep up with that increased demand, symptoms can start appearing gradually. Because the change is subtle, it's easy to miss the connection. Instead of drinking more water or paying closer attention to hydration, people often abandon the supplement entirely, and because they never address the underlying issue, they may continue experiencing fatigue, headaches, or low energy without understanding what was really causing them. That's what makes this so important. Sometimes the body isn't rejecting creatine at all. Sometimes it's simply asking for more support in another area. And honestly, this is a great reminder that supplements don't work in isolation. They interact with hydration, nutrition, exercise, sleep, and overall lifestyle habits. Before assuming a supplement is causing problems, it's worth stepping back and looking at the bigger picture. Because in many cases, the solution isn't quitting creatine, it's making sure your body has the water it needs to function properly. Sometimes the problem people blame is only part of the story. Number 8. The only creatine side effect you really need to worry about. So what's the one creatine side effect you actually need to pay attention to? For most healthy adults, it's probably not the thing people worry about most. It's not the temporary weight gain that often comes from extra water inside the muscles. It's not the scary myths that get repeated over and over on social media. And for most people, it's not some hidden danger lurking around the corner. The issue that deserves the most attention is surprisingly simple: failing to stay properly hydrated. Because when hydration falls behind, many of the most common complaints associated with creatine can start showing up. Fatigue, headaches, sluggish workouts, dry mouth, muscle cramps, and that general feeling of being off are often linked to not giving the body enough fluids to match its needs. The tricky part is that people often blame creatine for these symptoms when the real problem is dehydration. As a result, they stop taking the supplement without ever addressing the underlying issue. But when hydration is handled properly, the experience can look very different. Many people find that creatine becomes easier to tolerate. Workouts feel better, recovery improves, and the supplement delivers the benefits they were hoping for in the first place. That's why experienced creatine users often spend less time obsessing over complicated loading phases, advanced dosing schedules, or supplement hacks. Instead, they focus on the basics: drinking enough water, staying active, eating well, and being consistent. Because at the end of the day, those simple habits usually have a much bigger impact than any fancy strategy. And honestly, that may be the biggest lesson of all. Creatine can be a helpful tool, but the people who get the best results are usually the ones who master the fundamentals first. Those habits, not the supplement itself, are what make the biggest difference over the long run. So, what's the only creatine side effect you really need to worry about? For most healthy people, it's not the supplement itself, it's the possibility of falling behind on hydration and ignoring the signals your body is sending you. Creatine can be a useful tool for supporting strength, recovery, and muscle health. But like any tool, it works best when used properly. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever taken creatine? Did you notice any side effects, good or bad? And do you think hydration is something most people overlook? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more simple, honest health content without the hype. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.